Alpha Kappa Alpha. Hi, Jocelyn. Okay, wonderful. It is now 12:05, so we'll go ahead and get started for today. Hello, everyone, and welcome to the Shelby County Voter Alliance Lunch and Learn with Shelby County Sheriff Floyd Bonner. My name is Eris Newton, and I am with Stand for Children Tennessee. I'm one of part of the organizations that's part of the SCVA. For those of you all who might be unfamiliar with who we are, the Shelby County Voter Alliance unites nonpartisan 501c3 organizations, faith communities, labor, and civic groups in Shelby County that are ensuring access to the polls, registering voters, increasing voter turnout, and fighting for racial equity at the ballot box. The SCVA's mission is to build power by working with Shelby County organizations to dramatically increase voter access, engagement, and turnout using data-driven strategies in civic education. But our work doesn't just happen on election day. Our work is 365 days during election years, on off years, and during that time, we work on everything that has to do with voting. That's anything from redistricting, providing rides to the polls, doing voter registration, hosting poll parties, and of course, doing voter education. Because it's not only about turning people out to the polls, but also making sure that voters are able to make informed decisions when they get there. So our Lunch and Learn series is one of the ways that we provide civic education to voters. And we want voters to be able to walk away from our Lunch and Learns not only understanding the roles and responsibilities of the elected offices, but the current events and challenges the offices might be currently facing, so that when candidates are campaigning and voters are trying to decide who to cast a vote for, they know all the information that they need to know to make the decision that's best for them. And so we've been doing these lunch and learns for a couple years now. So if you want to check out any of our previous lunch and learns where we've interviewed like the district attorney, the registered deeds, a couple other ones that we've done, feel free to check out our YouTube page. We do upload our lunch and learns recordings to YouTube. And I will make sure after I'm done talking to share that YouTube link with you if no one has done so already. And I can say for myself that these lunch and learns have been a great opportunity for us to come together as a united force for democracy, for truth, for knowledge, and that we cannot wait until 2026 to make sure that people are ready. It's time for us to start organizing now so that we can have a strong, informed turnout in 2026. So thank you, thank you, thank you to each and every one of y'all for taking the first steps to do that. Next, I'd like to invite Anu to share about her and her org's experience of being part of the SCVA.
Thank you, Eris, for that introduction. We're so grateful to be partners with Stand for Children in the fight for a better Tennessee for everyone. Good noon, everyone. It's not quite afternoon, but good noon, everyone. And thank you for joining today's Lunch and Learn with the Shelby County Voter Alliance and our special guests. My name is Anu Iyer, and I'm the Community Engagement and Education Lead at Planned Parenthood of Tennessee and North Mississippi. Planned Parenthood of Tennessee and North Mississippi is one of Tennessee's oldest and largest private nonprofit healthcare agencies. For over 75 years, PPTNM has remained committed to providing high quality, affordable reproductive services and education throughout Tennessee, North Mississippi, and parts of Arkansas. Our mission is to improve health and well-being by providing high-quality, non-judgmental sexual health care, honest and accurate sexuality education, and reproductive health and rights advocacy. We believe that our healthcare and our rights are non-negotiable. Our advocacy teams of staff, volunteers, and supporters are the protectors and defenders of our care and rights. We're taking action every day to build a powerful movement for reproductive freedom in all areas and communities of Tennessee. We do this by organizing at the grassroots level, encouraging our supporters to engage in legislative and electoral advocacy, and upholding community care through outreach and mutual aid distribution. All of this is the foundation to protecting our healthcare services. We're honored to do this work in coalition alongside numerous partners who are dedicated to protecting democracy and paving the way for a better Tennessee. As a part of the Shelby County Voter Alliance, we get to work every week with a powerful group of movement leaders who exemplify what it means to advocate tirelessly in the pursuit of equity and justice for people living in West Tennessee. Our work in the coalition has looked like registering hundreds of voters from underrepresented groups, partnering on phone banks, canvassing election hubs and poll parties, supporting election day rides to the polls, and forging strong partnerships with local government offices, as well as the Shelby County Election Commission. We understand and celebrate how movements are successful when more voices, more perspectives, and more stakeholders are working together towards a common goal. In addition to supporting civic engagement initiatives at partner organizations like ours, the Shelby County Voter Alliance has a rich history of fighting to protect our public schools, fighting back against attacks on our immigrant communities, reducing barriers to affordable housing and gainful employment, and providing numerous opportunities for civic engagement like today's Lunch and Learn with Sheriff Bonner. With the increasing attacks on the immigrant community, the recent announcement of the National Guard's deployment to Memphis, and the community's demands for less policing and more social support, it's important that policy and decision makers hear directly from individuals who are focused on the issues central to our community's well-being. It's also important for decision makers to be held accountable for the ways that their actions impact the day-to-day lives of every Shelby County resident. We truly hope this Lunch and Learn is both an informative conversation and an opportunity to understand more deeply how the Sheriff's Department affects our youth, working class communities, immigrants, the trans community, and many others. Thank you all again for joining us today, for showing up to learn. And with that, I'll hand it over to Ron, who will continue with today's program.
Thank you, Anu. And I had the pleasure of joining with Ian Randolph as a co-moderation team today. So my name is Ron Davis. I am one of the organizers on staff with Micah Memphis, the Memphis Interfaith Coalition for Action and Hope. And I'll be co-moderating with Ian today. Ian, introduce yourself.
All right, all right. I am looking forward to this. Thank you all. I enjoy seeing all of your beautiful faces here for our Lunch and Learn today. Uh, in the spirit of free and fair disclosure, I want you to know that I serve on the board of Planned Parenthood of Tennessee and North Mississippi, and I have been a board member for the past, 4 years now. So I just want to lay that out there so that we don't have any issues. Somebody say, hey, Ian, why are they there? But we feature one of our partners during every Lunch and Learn, so this is nothing new. So with that said, I have the pleasure of introducing and interviewing our esteemed county sheriff, Sheriff Bonner. He's been our county mayor for the past 7.5 years. I think this is his last time as sheriff, as he is term limited. As you all know, if somebody is running for office, we do not have them on our Lunch and Learn series because we do not endorse candidates and we do not endorse parties. So with that said, Sheriff Bonner, please introduce yourself today.
Hey, good afternoon, or I guess, yes, after 12. Good afternoon, everyone. And again, thank you for having me. And kudos to all of you to want to find out what exactly the sheriff office does. I'm excited to talk about it today and hopefully give some knowledge and some facts about what really goes on in the sheriff's office. So again, appreciate you guys for having me and look forward to the discussion.
All right, well, I'm just going to jump in with our first question. And to let people on the call know, this is a lunch and learn. This is an informative uh, series. It's not a town hall. So our first question, Sheriff Bonner, is as sheriff, what do you see as the core responsibilities of your office, and how do you measure success?
Constitutional.
You on mute. We didn't hear the first part.
Oh, am I on mute or you not hearing me yet? I'm not showing I'm on mute.
We hear
You
you
took it
now.
off mute. You good now.
Oh, okay. You put me on mute, Ron. Okay. The Tennessee sheriffs are guided by the Tennessee Constitution, state law, United States Constitution, as well as federal law. The core duties include, but not limited to, law enforcement, patrol division, investigating crime, apprehending offenders, courtroom security, providing courtroom security to all the judges, serve and process legal papers, corrections, and operating the jail. We also depend heavily on, we have a dashboard that includes the jail dashboard where we look at the things that we're doing there as well as crime data reports. We call it our DSP meeting. The jail meets on the jail things, and the law enforcement meet on, things that are occurring in law enforcement. But while not a core duty of the sheriff's office, we've been committed to use every possible community resource that we can do to get the jail residents better when they come back into the community than they were when they came into the jail. We have organizations that offer job skills as well as physical and mental care for our detainees. We also offer anger management classes, parenting skill classes. So we do a lot of things inside the jail because most of the people that are in jail, they're going to return. Now you have to always keep in mind that 201 is a pretrial facility. And what I mean by that is that the person has not been convicted, even though I do have state inmates, but most of the times we're going to say 95, 98% are pretrial detainees. And when they're pretrial detainees, they're going to be returning back to the community, some on misdemeanor charges, so they'll be back relatively quick. But some are going to go on to state institutions. So we even have programs that's called Inside Circle inside the jail, where they get a chance to unpack some of the trauma that they may have gone through growing up, which may have caused them to be in jail. So there's a lot of moving parts to what we do, especially when it comes to the jail. But we try to look at we look at our data every single week to see where we are with crime, because we do patrol the unincorporated areas of Shelby County. We have monthly meetings with all the supervisors of every division. There is a matrix, something that we go through. We call it the LERC report, where we meet with all of our commanders to make sure that everybody's doing the work and what we can do to improve it. That meeting occurs out at our training academy once a month, but our data smart policing meeting is every week when it pertains to crime in Shelby County, unincorporated Shelby County.
Thank you. And I think kicks off to me for the next question. The National Guard and other facilities, including ICE, are expected to be deployed in Memphis in the coming weeks. How will your office be involved in the operations of these federal agents? And what are the responsibilities of the Sheriff's Office as they pertain to the National Guard, immigration enforcement, and other federal actions? What can Memphis and Shelby County residents expect?
Well, the Shelby County Sheriff's Office has had a long history of partnering with certain federal agencies. And the federal agencies that we partner with mainly is the FBI, DEA, and the U.S. Marshal Services to investigate and arrest large-scale drug offenders, thieves that are targeting businesses, smuggling packages through illegal means, through carriers, to distribute drugs and contraband. But our office has never partnered with ICE. And I hope everybody hears that we have never partnered with ICE. Federal agencies involved in the President's task force, as well as the governor's use of National Guard, plans are still developing. It appears that the sheriff's office primary duty at this time will be to house those that are arrested. That is a formidable task, as the jail is already at capacity. We are told that we can expect focused efforts to remove the most violent repeat offenders, and the National Guards will not be doing any enforcement duties. We hope the National Guard will be able to help with blight, among other things, but I can't speak for the president or the governor, but that's what I know right now. And I'll even go a little bit even more in depth. The U.S. Marshal from Washington, D.C. came to, today is Wednesday, Tuesday, Monday. My days are a little blurred, but he came to, and I had a meeting with him for about two and a half hours. He was here in town. We had I see the question in the chat. As far as I know, the National Guard will not be making arrests. One of your chat people, I saw that. But as far as I know, the National Guard will not be making arrests. However, that could change with the stroke of a pen with the president or the governor giving them that kind of power. But as far as we know right now, again, going back to the meeting with the U.S. Marshal, had about a two and a half hour meeting with him. And it was mostly taking him to the jail and letting him see where we are inside the jail, the overcrowd and the facilities. So he understands the position that I'm in, the sheriff's office is in, and hopefully we're gonna try to plan for something. I don't even know, and I hate to sound like I don't know, but I really don't know. The U.S. Marshals are in control of this presidential task force. They're the ones that's calling the shots. But I think what they're going to mainly be doing is trying to arrest people that have violent felony warrants on.
Sheriff Bonner, it is my hope that your office maintains a level of transparency with the public as this action unfolds, because we don't want to be caught in the dark about what's going on in our county.
Well, Ian, let me say this too, and for what you just said. Right now, despite of what people have been saying on the news, other elected officials, and myself, I've been in several meetings so far with this, and we cannot or have not got a clear understanding what the National Guard's role is going to be here in Memphis. And I can honestly say that because even with the meeting with the U.S. Marshal the other day, he was not sure. It's almost like building a plane on a runway right now. He was very open. He was very candid with me. And even though I spent 2.5 hours touring the jail with him, he and I sat down for 15 minutes or so and we talked. Right now, I'm being as honest as I could be with all of you in not knowing what role the National Guard will play in all of this. But we are trying to work through all of that. Just reading some emails this morning from the U.S. Marshal here in Memphis, Tyrese Miller, and his chief deputy as well. But I can assure you right now, we're just trying to figure it all out, what our role and what we're going to be doing.
Yes, sir. I understand. Next question we have for you. The Shelby County Jail has seen an estimated 58 inmate deaths since 2019, including 4 in recent weeks. Currently, the annex has been operating in 90-degree weather without air conditioning. Acknowledging that officials also cite a shortfall of 300 correction officers, what steps has your office taken to address these persistent health and safety crises, and how is the sheriff's office working to remedy them? Is the Shelby County Sheriff's Office putting any measures in place to prevent future jail deaths?
All right, there was a lot of questions in there, so give me a minute to respond to all of this. First of all, let me address the pitfalls of relying on what the local media is telling. Seldom do they ever give corrections on their initial report. There were 4 deaths in February of 2025. Per the medical examiner, 1 died of pneumonia, 1 died of suicide, 1 died of a drug seizure disorder, and 1 had a pre-existing medical condition, and we still are waiting for the medical examiner's ruling. We've had inmates to have open heart surgery, receive methadone during pregnancies, and have been treated at the West Clinic. Several jail deaths have involved people who were injured before they were even arrested or physically brought to the jail. They were brought to the hospital and died at the hospital, never coming to jail. Likewise, a lot of the deaths the Shelby County Sheriff's Office reports, die in the hospital, many from pre-existing conditions like cancer. Unlike other facilities, we report those as we believe in that we can over-report just for the sake of transparency. There's been a comparison with us with the New York Rikers Island Correction Facility in our media. If you read the New York papers, you will learn that that facility stopped reporting deaths back in 2023. And it has also been accused of withholding information about deaths in the facility. A federal judge in New York has taken over the prison from the mayor and has appointed someone to oversee it. So I know that's a lot to impact, and I know you have some more questions, but I'll talk a little bit more. Let me tell you about the air conditioning. Please, everyone hear me when I say this. The Shelby County mayor owns the jail and other county buildings. His administration is responsible for the upkeep of the building, including air conditioning. For the past 5 days, a large section of the jail was out. Repairs begun. Even now, almost 7 days later, some of the areas are still very warm. We went to the mayor's CAO directly and pleaded with him for quick action. Then we learned that some years ago, it was decided not to keep spare parts or equipment in the jail for the heating or the air system. So whenever anything's break down in the jail or the air breaks down, parts have to be ordered. So when you have to order parts, these things take some days. And unfortunately, I was down there last week, 2 days down there, and it was extremely hot. We had fans, we had blowers, we had a number of water kegs. It was very uncomfortable for the inmates, but I assure you, we were doing all that we could do to keep them as comfortable as possible and providing water and as much water as anyone wanted to drink. Now, the jail condition part of your question, we've constantly asked the mayor's administration for support for the never-ending repairs to the jail, which opened 44 years ago. Now, to put that in context, correction facilities have toilets, sinks in every cell, multiple showers in every housing unit, and a jail will age 3.5 years for every year that it's open. That means that our jail literally is 154 years old. Experts have said that the jail was obsolete when it was built due to poor design and failure to incorporate best practices into the bill. However, we've always asked the county commission for financial support with emergency and other repairs necessary to properly house the residents. The building is just what it is required. The building is just what I've said on numerous occasions. It is old, it is falling apart, and it needs to be replaced. But you must also realize that we must feed every detainee, provide soap, detergent, to wash clothes, footwear, and other supplies to each and every inmate. We have over 9,000 to 10,000 meals prepared 3 times a day. Well, the meals are, when I say 9,000 to 10,000, 9,000 to 10,000 meals are prepared every day to feed the detainees 3 times a day. So as you can imagine, it's a big undertaking. But the mayor is responsible for the medical care. Ian, I sent you something listing who's responsible for each very step throughout the criminal justice thing. I hope you share it with everyone. It was a news release that we released a couple of weeks ago. I think it's still on our website. Every jail death is reviewed, and we frequently call the Tennessee Bureau of Investigation to investigate any jail death. So this totally independent from the sheriff's office. Once that investigation is completed, the district attorney office reviews the finding and make a decision where to prosecute. When we saw an increase in suicides during COVID, we followed the national and community trend. We called upon an expert to review our policies, procedures, and suicide screening tools. And we have seen a drop in those numbers, but 1 is definitely too many. We are relying on technology and other tools for more effective monitoring and accountability, among other things. So again, we're relying on technology. We're doing all that we can to decrease the numbers of deaths in the jail. But again, the mayor, when it comes to medical contracts, that contract belongs to the mayor, and WellPath is our medical provider.
Thank you. And for the next question, staying on the topic of jail conditions. The Commercial Appeal has reported that some deaths have occurred during the intake process before people even get sentenced, raising some concerns about the general intake process. Could you please describe the intake process?
Okay, that's a mouthful too. So everybody hang on. Our jail is a pretrial facility, as I stated earlier. A majority of our residents have not been sentenced, so there need to be some type of context provided. The jail is a reflection of our community and is becoming increasing, which our community has become increasingly unhealthy, according to the health department. Residents arrive with advanced cancer, untreated heart and hypertension conditions, uncontrolled diabetes, recent injuries, hospitalizations, among other things. While they're seen in the intake process, they do not always report their condition or their prescriptions as needed. And as you can imagine, bad outcomes will happen when they don't tell us what's going on. Medical personnel are trained to repeat and tell each resident that it could be a terrible consequences if they do not fully disclose their situation. Twice in the last few recent years, we've had residents who told paramedics as they were leaving to go to the hospital that they didn't tell us about life-saving medication that they needed because they didn't think that they would be in jail that long. And tragically, both of them died at the hospital. At intake, booking of each new arrestee is fingerprinted to verify their identity. Some people create confusion by using false IDs or giving false names. So fingerprint procedures will sort that out. The arrestee is checked for outstanding warrants from Shelby County and other agencies. A judicial commissioner must review the charges to ensure that there's basis for each charge. The medical staff conducts a private screening with each arrestee to ensure medications are not missed and they are protected from victimization for various reasons. Pretrial services conduct an in-depth screening of each arrestee for current and past history, particularly criminal charges, to make appropriate recommendations to the judicial commissioner. The judicial commissioner will then take all of the information and set a bond. The clerk's office will take the information from the commissioner and provide information about the bond, criminal charges, court settings to others, including the public. The sheriff's office classification unit reviews the charges, past history charges, behavior in the facility, if any, to determine the safest housing for arrestees and others. Those that are deemed as enemies based on gang affiliation and past conflicts will not be housed together. So we have a classification process in which we have to ask these questions, try to find out the history on the subject that is being arrested, and we try not to house them with anyone that that they've had a conflict with, either on the street or in the facility. We also look at the charges that a person is being brought in on, because you have to classify, you have to look at it like predator and prey. In other words, we're not going to have a DUI with someone that's been charged with aggravated assault or murder. Those are instances in our classification system, and we rate them 1, 2, 3 through 9. So in other words, a 7 or 8 is not going to be housed with someone that's at a 2 or someone that's just been first time coming to jail. So it's a lot that goes into this process. And again, it's to try to keep everyone that is detained as safe as possible.
As a follow-up to that question, are there protocols to ensure immediate medical evaluation upon arrival? Some of the detainees have reported waiting days without food, water, or sleeping mats. So aside from personnel or building a new jail, if you could flip a switch to make this process better, what would solve this problem?
Well, let me start with your first part of your question there. Each resident is seen by medical personnel when they enter the building. If they are bleeding or disoriented, they must be seen at the hospital. Once in the building, they are screened and seen in intake again. If there are pressing medical or mental health needs, those are immediately referred. Then they are given a full assessment within 14 days, and every resident has access to health care without cost. They can make sick calls, and it does not cost the residents anything. Now, no resident has gone days without food or water. You can imagine if we were doing some practice like that, you would hear about all kinds of issues that's going on in the jail. I just ask you, please do not believe what the media says without talking to us for our account. When MLG and W had no water downtown, if you remember that a few years ago, the sheriff's office had 5,000-gallon water truck to come outside of 201, which was brought in. There were bottled waters for drinking. No one ever went without food. Our residents will destroy mats and use them to clog toilets and etc. They were not allowed mats, but this was an extreme punishment that did not last for days or anything like that. We tried to correct the behavior, ask them to try to get them to calm down and not do what they're doing as far as the destructive behavior. When you're really asking about a problem that doesn't exist. However, if our partners in the intake process would assign more personnel, this would speed up this process considerably. And some of our partners were pretrial and the clerk's office, in which our clerk now, Tammy Sawyer, she's been over to the county commission along with myself. Speaking of how short a staff she is, her office is, and that she's in need of hiring new clerks, and even modernizing her office where we're not still handing off pieces of paper where they can be electronically sent. That would help. That would help tremendously. Everyone is working to solve the problem. And everyone is thinking outside of the box, if you will, to make this system more effective and efficient.
All right. I think I'm going to ask one last question, and then I'm going to turn it over to Mackenzie to allow a few audience questions. So in closing out this part of our program, with the transition of the Youth Detention Oversight to the Division of Corrections set for October 1st, how is your office approaching this shift? What steps will be taken to ensure constitutional, ethical, and rehabilitative standards are upheld during and after the handoff? In simpler language, what role will the sheriff's office play in ensuring the transition protects young people's rights and well-being?
Well, Ian, let me say this. We here at the Shelby County Sheriff's Office are extremely proud of the accomplishments at the Youth and Justice Education Center, from securing the site to its renovations and its operations. We're proud of our staff. We work with Hope Academy team, in which educates the youth and the young people there at the facility, many of whom have studied hard and dramatically improved their grades and their outlook to the future. The Tennessee Shakespeare Company works tirelessly with our youth, and they have accepted some of them into the program after they release. And those outcomes we pray for will be just that they will soar in the community. We work closely with the Division of Corrections to ensure a seamless transition, which is supposed to occur on October the 1st. We have assured them, as well as the community, that we will provide any assistance and guidance during this transition. So again, it will occur on October the 1st. We're leaving some command staff down there for anything that the correction, the Division of Correction, that they might need, any questions that they might have. They should be shadowing now down at the Youth and Education Center. They should be shadowing with us now. But we think that everything should go fine, and the kids will just see different officers in different uniforms. But again, we'll be there. We're not just totally just washing our hands of the Youth and Education Center. So we'll be there for the Correction Center. Any questions they may have. I think you've seen the County Commission, I think, has been very generous with them in providing them funds to do some things that they want to do. I can't say about any design changes, if you will, that may come, but that'll be left up to the courts.
You know, I've had the opportunity on a few occasions to visit the juvenile jail and speak with the young people that have been housed there, basically about their future and what they're going to do after they get out of the juvenile jail. So to anybody that's on this call, if you have the opportunity to go and speak with those young people, I would like to encourage you to do that, because they need our help and they need our love. With that said, I'm going to turn it over to Mackenzie for the next few minutes to get a couple of audience questions in.
Well, and yeah, let me do this as well, or say this as well. We're always looking for mentors and different types of programs to expose the young people down at the youth center to. I think as much as we can pour into them, the better the tension outcome, or when they are released. I think the better is the outcome. We talk to parents that come down there and they say that their kids are doing better in school than they ever done before. And I think that's just because they don't have all the outside noise when they're at home, and they're in a situation that they don't want to be in, but however, it's a situation that they can focus more and they can learn more. So again, I would like to encourage all of your listeners, your viewers, if you have time, please come down and expose them to what you do and what you because many times our young people, and being a father and raising two sons, my boys didn't know what they wanted to do in life. I really my wife was the encouraging beacon with them, trying to get them to understand. But many times our youth don't know how to achieve goals. They may not even have that role model at their house. So if a kid tells you it's cute, and we laugh about when a kid says he wants to be a doctor, but if a doctor don't come down there and explain to them what he or she had to go through to become a doctor, the studies, the classes that you have to take, the things, even if you want to be an airline pilot, the math that you have to learn, you have to be good in that. So these are the type of things that I think our kids really need to be exposed to. And it's not to deter them, but at this young age, they need to know what will be required of them as they study and as they move on.
All right, Mackenzie, take it over.
All right. So thanks again for being here. I have a couple follow-up questions and audience questions. I've got two for you. So just staying on this topic of the youth transition or youth detention center transition, one thing that we are very concerned about is that there have been reports of the use of 23andMe where young people are kept in solitary confinement for 23 hours and only let out for 1 hour per day. There's been a lack of visitation in person from their families. There's been unequal access to Hope Academy so that they can keep their education going. So I think what we're really asking is, are there measures in place to make sure that that treatment doesn't continue during this transition? And what is being put in place to make those conditions better for the young people who are in detention?
Well, we do not use 23andMe, Mackenzie. What happens sometimes, if a kid is frustrated, upset, mad, they are allowed to go back to their room and take a cooling off period, if you will. One of the problems with the visitations, not necessarily with the parents, but we have to have a list of people that are coming to visit these detainees. If a detainee is, if a young person is in our facility and we can't just allow anyone to come in, because we don't know if they're cold charged or conspiracy, the whole 9 yards. We have to make sure that they are safe, first of all, and safe from any outside distractions, if you will. So we had a problem for a while that trying to get the list and working with juvenile court as to who could visit. In other words, we wanted a visitor list for each child. So to make sure, because as you know, single parents, if a father and a mother are not together, the mother may not want the child to see his father. And so we have to deal with all of that kind of stuff. It's not that we're trying to keep anyone from seeing these kids. I mean, but we also have to do it safely and responsibly as well. I'm trying to remember the rest of your question. I don't know if I hit it all or not.
Well, we can move on to a couple of the audience questions. I want to make sure that other people get to be heard too. So there's a lot of questions coming in around overcrowding, and you talked about that a little bit, but we're just curious what is in place to prevent overcrowding. So one person asked, is there a plan to transfer state inmates out of 201? Another question, are there proactive remedies to alleviate the overcrowding of the red alert mandate? So how is overcrowding being addressed, and how do we make sure that it doesn't continue going forward?
Well, as again, the piece that I sent in, and I hope he sends it out to all of you, the sheriff has nothing to do with who stays in jail, who gets out of jail. Unfortunately, what we're seeing right now is people that are coming to jail on misdemeanor charges, they're just not making their bonds. They would rather stay there, do their 30 days, their 45 days, and then get out on time served when they go to courts. If you remember, maybe here, I think a year ago, or maybe, the state did away with one of our criminal courts. Did away with one of our criminal courts. We're hoping to get that court back. That was a huge, I think, mistake on the state's part, that doing away with that criminal court. But the cases are backed up. I've hired former Judge Bobby Carter as an expediter to kind of nudge the judges along. I can't make a judge do anything, but I'm trying to nudge them along and get them to see when these cases are very old, what are we doing? I mean, why is continuously going with defense attorneys, the courts? Judge Carter is sitting down with all concerned defense attorneys, prosecutor, the public defender's office, and trying to get these cases moving. It's a daunting task for us And, you know, we work every day with trying to get, but, you know, there are bonds and people can make bonds, but what we're seeing right now is something that I've never seen over the course of my career, that people won't make the bond. So, you know, especially on a misdemeanor charge, because you think when a detainee gets out, then they don't have to pay probation fees. They don't have to do anything. So I probably have 200 to 300 misdemeanor charges in the jail. And then we encourage our law enforcement partners to use misdemeanor citations so they don't come to jail. So, but there are state regulations or laws, if you will, pertaining to that.
Okay, one question that just came in is earlier you talked about how all people upon arrival to the jail get a health check. There's medical personnel on site. One question asked, what happened then with Raquez McDaniel, who was arrested on a mental health call and died at the CJC, if they are in fact getting medical assessment upon entry?
I don't know particularly that case, but I think it's under litigation and I can't talk about that right now. But let me go back to something that you asked me earlier about the state and here recently, the state has been moving detainees out of our jail. We had up to 130 or 140 state inmates that we get paid $41 a day, by the way, to house. But the state has been picking them up in the last 2 to 3 weeks, I think only because of the presidential mandate to do this in Memphis. But I think now we're down to about 50 or 60, maybe 50 in-state inmates right now. But the state won't pick them. I can't make the state pick them up, no matter how hard I try.
Okay. All right. Well, I think then before we turn it over to Eris, just want to touch on one more thing. At one point, you mentioned or you asked us not to believe everything the media has said. Some of these reports, like the 23andMe for young people, are coming from the young people themselves, and about some of the jail conditions are coming from inmates themselves. And so I do think that it's important to take those into consideration. But I think that yeah, that's just important to keep in mind.
Well, let me say this on that. I understand that some of these complaints may be coming from juveniles as well as adults, but I assure you, in the name of humanity, that we try to do the best that we can do with what we're working with right now. We have been nationally acclaimed down for the work that we've done down at juvenile court. We've been accredited by the state in our adult facilities. Are we living in a perfect world? Of course not. Could things be better? Yes, if I had a new jail with the right type of facilities, I think we could do better. Could we divert mental health from the jail? I've said this all along for many, many years. I'm the largest mental health institution in the state of Tennessee, not only the largest jail, but the largest mental health institution in the state of Tennessee. So with Alliance Healthcare coming on board and hopefully a new mental health facility that the county will build to house misdemeanor mental health detainees, the system can get better, and that would relieve overcrowding as well. Some of the overcrowding, again, a third of my inmates are taking some type of psychotropic type drug, and they don't need to be in jail. I totally 100% agree with that. But when you don't have the facilities or the places to put them, then they wind up in jail when the police department, as well as sheriff's office, anyone that makes arrests. We house everyone, every municipality inmate that comes through that's arrested in any municipality comes to 201 Poplar. So
Sheriff Bonner,
yes.
we like to start on time. We
Oh, I'm
like
sorry.
to end on time. And it's almost 1 o'clock.
Okay.
Eris, please close us out.
Yes, thank you so much for joining us today. Definitely a lot of questions that folks had. This recording will be put up on YouTube, hopefully later on today, if not by tomorrow. And if there's any other questions that you might have, maybe we can try and compile those and send those over to Sheriff Bonner. Sheriff Bonner said that for the questions that we didn't get to today, that we pre-sent him, that he would respond to those in writing. So we'll be sure to share that information out as well. If you'd like to help make these lunch and learns happen, help the work of the SCVA, we ask you to please join us in our work. There's many ways that you can get involved, from volunteering, from getting your organization involved. And so because we're short on time, I'm not going to go too much into all the ways that we can get involved. But if you're interested in getting involved in some way, we're going to put a couple links in the chat. We can set up a one-on-one with you to discuss the best ways that we can partner together and figure out a way for us to get better voter engagement, better educated voters in 2026, because we know that when we work together, when we, a multitude of voices are included, we get the best democracy for us. So thank you all so much for coming today, and we will see you at the next Lunch and Learn. And stay on for a second while we drop those links. I don't want y'all to miss any of those links that are being dropped. All right, I think all the links are dropped. If you'd like to stop the recording, we can stop the recording.